Hello, in today's video I'm going to share with you a very interesting sourdough recipe. So it's Focaccia Pugliese. It's a flatbread from Italy, made in the Puglia region, and it has a very interesting mix of flour because it contains something called semola in Italian, which is the semolina that is ground to flour. So it's basically the durum wheat, not the regular wheat. And it's yellow, it has a very interesting texture, it's very interesting to work with, and it's just a recipe that I keep coming back to all the time, and my husband and I are really obsessed with it. So without further ado, let's start baking, and I really hope you're going to enjoy it. First ingredient is a sourdough starter. Mine is made from 160 grams of plain flour, 40 grams of whole wheat flour, and 160 grams of water, and it's been freshly fed and allowed to double in size. Just look at the beautiful gluten strands. For the recipe, I'm going to need 140 grams of that starter. Next, I'm adding 240 milliliters of water, so almost a cup, and then I mix the water and the starter together until it foams up nicely. Next, I'm adding the semola flour, 280 grams of it, and it's quite easy to find on Amazon, or if you have any Italian shops where you live, or you can simply take some semolina and just blend it with a coffee grinder or just in a food processor. And then next I'm adding the so-called 00 flour, which is basically flour for pizza. It's very fine and it should be easy to find anywhere. And then I'm adding 5 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil. And then I'm mashing those boiled potatoes with a fork in a little bowl just like this until they're creamy. I'm adding the potatoes to all the other ingredients, and then I mix everything just a little bit, and then I take my dough scraper and give it a quick mix like this, just to incorporate all the ingredients, but it's just a pre-mix. And then I'm leaving it there for 30 minutes to absorb all that water. Then I'm adding salt, around 1.5 teaspoons. And I start kneading just like that. After a minute or two, I move on to the worktop. I sprinkle with some flour and I just keep kneading for exactly 10 minutes. It's very important to knead properly because in this recipe, I'm not going to do any stretch and folds at all. So just the initial kneading should be done quite well. And if at any point I feel that it's starting to stick too much, I just sprinkle a bit more flour and I keep going. Then I add a little bit of oil to a bowl. I spread it around and put that dough inside. I'm going to leave it there to ferment for around 3 hours and then overnight in the fridge as well. But if you want to do everything throughout the day without retarding it in the fridge, you can also just leave it out on the worktop for around maybe 6-7 hours. So once it's ready, I take a tray, sprinkle a little bit of olive oil on it, spread it around just to make sure that it doesn't stick to the surface. And this is my focaccia. It's grown by around 50-70%, and then all I have to do is just to spread it around the tray like this from corner to corner. There we go, that's ready. And I'll cover it and I'll leave it to ferment for around 3-4 hours. Bear in mind, in my house I have around 20-21 degrees Celsius. In the meanwhile, I have to prepare the cherry tomatoes that I'm going to put on top of the focaccia. So I'm going to half each of them, just like this. And then I'm going to heat some extra virgin olive oil in a pan, add the tomatoes, add a bit of pepper, black pepper, a bit of sea salt, and a bit of oregano. And then I'll just keep cooking it on a medium fire until the tomatoes soften up. Now the focaccia is ready and I can do my finger test. So as you can see, it springs back slowly, which means it's ready to go into the oven. But first, I have to top it up with the tomatoes. Just put them on top of the focaccia and then I spread them around as much as I can. And then I put in the oven and bake it for 30 minutes at 220 degrees Celsius. And voila, the focaccia is ready. Look at this beauty. And of course, my husband and I couldn't wait to try it, so we decided to cut into it right away. Here's what it looks like. Look at that. Just the most perfect breakfast in the world. And look how much it springs back when you press it. Now it's your turn to go and start baking. If you do bake this recipe, please let me know how it came out, and I would love to receive a picture either on my Facebook or Instagram. The links are all down in the description box. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.